This is the TK Radio Network.
Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." In sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
I believe that a person's moral compass can be determined by how he references free men the right to defend themselves.
Broadcasting live from A Really Bad Idea. I am your host, Mr. William Summers, and with me tonight, with a big old smile asking, "Hey, hold my beer," is the reason I bought tickets, Mr. Peter the Knievel Gunn. How you doing, Peter?
Peter the Knievel.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
All good ideas start with "hold my beer," don't they? Hey,
yeah.
Welcome to Polite Society, your central location of all things Second Amendment, and a little bit of humor, because why not?
Absolutely.
And why don't we start things off correctly and righteously, the way we always do, with a prayer, because what we're about to do is so wildly unholy.
We are.
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Excellent.
Well, all right. Well, let us bow our heads. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Amen, brother. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Guns.com, as well as a few other guest appearances from other news outlets, which I will announce as they come up. If you haven't been over to Guns.com, I strongly encourage you to slide on over to Guns.com and jump into their chat and say something pithy, say something short, say something quick. I don't care. Just say something. And if you're not in our chat, click on the jiggly bubble. Join the chat, because honestly, the chat is much more interesting than us.
Oftentimes.
Headline: New York lawmakers push to repeal the SAFE Act everywhere but New York City. Let that one sink in for a second. A group of upstate lawmakers are backing a proposal to let New York City keep the state's restrictive gun laws while repealing them for the rest of the Empire State. You know what this is code for?
Suffer and die.
Suffer and die, but it's also code for... we don't trust the black people to have guns.
You know, that's exactly it. And what I always love is when you point that out and you get into a really good anti-gun person and they sit there and they go, well, you know, it's access to guns that's doing this. Really? Then why is Chicago violent and Vermont isn't? Well, there's other factors.
There's other factors.
And I said,
Vermont's not like New York City.
I said, then what, pray tell, are the other factors? And they stopped dead. Well, and it doesn't matter whether you say New York City, Chicago, Washington, D.C., South Central
LA. The people are just really close together in New York City, and that makes people much more violent and prone to kill each other. Yeah. Okay, maybe it's not that. Maybe they just have a different demographic. Oh, yeah, really? What's that different demographic that you're referring to?
Exactly.
Exactly. It's classic for these people. They just find different ways of segregating people. Decade after decade, they just, you know what they do? They just change the color of their hood. That's all they do. Decade to decade. Oh, they go, there was this big switch, and the Republicans are now the Klan, and the Democrats are now the party of free...
I've actually... Stage 4 Cancer Boy said that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The Democrats then are really the Republicans now.
Which is completely false.
Of course it is.
Completely false.
Or utterly. They've never changed. I love how... did you see the presidential speech?
Yeah.
I didn't.
I did.
But anyway, I love the part where they were all wearing white, and I guess the hoods were optional this time. The Dems...
that's awful. But
I did see...
Did you know that the Democrat Party actually had a Democrat National Convention that was dubbed the Klan Bake?
Klan Bake?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1924, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1924.
Yeah.
They really haven't changed a whole lot.
I've said it before. They have no sense of history.
No, I know.
If you showed a millennial, liberal, progressive Democrat that picture, they would swear up and down it was the Republicans. They don't know it's their own party.
You know what?
And it's not because they're trying to deny it. They just don't. They can't comprehend it.
This kills me. This really kills me. It's such a small thing, but sometimes the small things just get under your skin.
Mm-hmm.
But if
My wife would say I'm the small thing that gets under her skin.
There might be some truth to that one.
No doubt.
If you go to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is such a wildly reliable source, but that being said, if you look up on Wikipedia the Ku Klux Klan, right? Mm-hmm. The whole thing is nothing right-wing conservatives, right-wing blah, 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 all the way down. And all the photos that they use are of, like, a donkey with KKK written on it and somebody hanging from a tree.
Uh-huh.
Figure that out. They're literally going... Here's the literature from the day from the Klan. It's all Democrat, but it's all the right-wingers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, here's the thing, though. I think that racism does exist. I know it does. I know it does. I know that there is the Klan in the United States.
Have you ever seen them in person?
But they're like, what? They're like 3 people.
Yeah, there's probably more than that. But have you ever seen them in person?
No.
I mean, obviously, we wouldn't see them if they were on the street.
I've seen them on news and like National Geographic in the wild somewhere.
Have you ever seen them on like a Klan rally anywhere? Or
No.
Guys in hoods? I never have either. Now, granted, I live in the northeastern United States.
Yeah.
But
they essentially don't exist anymore. I mean, you see them pop up on Jerry Springer once in a while.
Sure.
You know, you get the obligatory, oh, well, here's the white nationalists doing their little rally. And there's like 5 people, and the cameras all zoom in real tight, so it looks like they're a big group. But they're essentially nobody.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I spend a lot of time driving around for my job. I'm behind the wheel all day, and my brain just wanders to weird places. And one of the things I was just sort of wondering is, this is a rhetorical question, is if white people are anywhere near as racist as we're accused of, how come there aren't more lynch mobs?
Yeah,
if we're that racist, there'd be a lot more problems than we have.
Oh, let's try this one on for size, okay? Lynchings were a big thing.
Yes.
It was a problem. And when was it that lynchings really started to take a nosedive off and start to disappear?
Oh, you mean when black people had guns?
You can make that argument for sure, but I mean, I'm talking about time frame.
Okay.
Lynchings, I think, what was the last lynching? I
have no idea.
It was quite a while ago. But if you want to marry up this whole supposed the Klan left and became the Republicans and the Republicans became the Democrats, you could show a similar drop in that activity at around the same time. It all sort of happened at the same time.
Which is when?
Mid-century.
Okay.
40s to 70s. I think probably before the 40s was the tail end of it. But if you really want to map it out, you could argue, if you want to do some mental acrobatics, that this whole time frame that they say that there was this big switch between the Republicans and Democrats was also a period when lynchings actually basically vanished. It doesn't exist. I mean, you're going to have the anecdotal one here and there.
Sure.
But that's not a thing anymore. You don't do that to people anymore. They can point to individual instances, but it's not a thing.
Right.
It doesn't really exist in any significant ways.
I saw a great Facebook meme that if the left was right about the right, there wouldn't be any left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they spend so much time building this caricature of what we are, this monster that we are.
It's a narrative.
It's a narrative, but they're legitimately scared of that narrative that they've created, and it's completely fake. Mm-hmm. The whole narrative, the whole image that
look at all the people after the election who were concerned they'd have to leave the country. Oh, my God, he's going to kill me. Oh, what?
I did see one headline that made me giggle a little
What's
bit.
That?
Well, over the last 8 years, we've watched these illegals go to public events and proclaim their illegal nature. We've even seen them go before the House of Congress and stand there and say, "I'm here undocumented." And I'm thinking to myself,
are you dumb?
You're in the Hall of Congress and you're announcing that you're undocumented? Where's ICE?
Yeah.
And nobody.
I'm sorry. I think we're supposed to check IDs when you get into the place like Congress.
And I just saw the headline that some undocumented person went to a rally. She came out of hiding, and guess what happened?
Arrested
by ICE, right there. We're going to start seeing that again.
Oh, yeah, you heard LAPD's gripe about ICE, don't you?
No, what?
Well, when they wear their jackets or their vests,
okay,
it says ICE and it says police on it.
Yeah.
All federal agents will have their 3-letter acronym, and it'll also say police,
right?
So that you click in your head that they are law enforcement.
Right.
Customs and Border Protection says police on theirs.
Right.
Because it's to identify police as a word meaning law enforcement to everybody.
Sure. Yeah.
And so LAPD wants them to take the word police off because then people will think badly of the LAPD, and they've worked very hard to establish trust in the community.
Oh my goodness!
It just never ends.
They're really going there. Oh my god! Did you see?
Yes,
actually,
Angela. Clearly, in hiding has a different meaning. Of course, it does.
you see the it was a pretty small story, but there was a shirt down in Florida that got taken off the market because of what it said on it.
What did it say?
You know the TV show The Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. You know the Negan, the main character, and
yes,
he's got that baseball bat with
the barbed wire. Yeah.
And you know the famous scene from The Walking Dead where he's pointing the bat at them kneeling on the ground, going "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo." He's picking out who he's going to kill. Well, he made a shirt that said "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo" with the baseball bat.
Yeah.
And somebody complained that it was wildly racist. They couldn't believe how blatantly racist of a piece of thing. I couldn't put two and two together until they finally, spelled it out for me. You know what it was?
What?
They were claiming that the original nursery rhyme was "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch ya by the toe."
Uh-huh.
Oh, now it all clicks, doesn't it? That's one of those that you're like, okay, all right, we've just gone off the deep end. You're really reaching there.
Yeah, they always find a way to do
Headline: Orlando nightclub shooter's wife to be released on bail.
Why?
A federal judge in California agreed Wednesday to release the widow of Pulse nightclub shooter Omar Mateen, saying it's debatable that she helped him carry out the attack. U.S. magistrate...
Whoa. Stop. I'm sorry. I thought the standard was more likely than not had knowledge of. I mean, Tom Brady got a 4-game suspension on that, and this is somebody who killed people. Her husband.
I dug into the specifics of this particular case, and I can see a path of logic to where, okay, she wasn't directly, involved in the planning.
I was being snarky.
You can make the argument. So I don't know that I necessarily have a giant problem with them following your standard judicial process. But even at that,
it's entirely possible that I could, do something and my wife not find out about it right away, and I could get arrested ahead of time.
And by right away, you mean like 5 minutes after you've done it?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you ain't getting away with anything in your life. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I've just given up to it. It's just easier that way.
You know what? You're right. It's the way
I just wake up and apologize. That's the way it should go. I don't do that, but it's the way I should.
U.S. Magistrate Judge Donna Ryu, RYU, said Noor Salam, 31, isn't a flight risk or danger to the public, noting there isn't any evidence to suggest she has connection to the Islamic State, according to the review in the case filing. I'm willing to bet that when it all shakes out, she's not walking off completely scot-free.
No.
But if there's enough evidence that she's in part innocent here, Muslims aren't real good about treating their wives like they're part of the team.
This is true.
So I can see a path of logic to.
I was just thinking that's the complete opposite in my house.
No.
I'm not part of the team. She's the head of the team. I just work here.
Yeah. In our culture, it's queen is actually the king and the queen, and we are just pawns.
Yep.
Headline: Agent turned off body camera as tensions peaked during the Bundy standoff.
Wonderful.
Is there anybody who's innocent in here?
No.
I don't think there is.
No.
I think the Bundy people probably acted pretty foolishly, but the government also acted possibly even more foolishly. And to shut off your body camera intentionally raises questions as to the ethics of what occurred there. A Bureau of Land Management ranger testified Tuesday that he stopped a recording on his body camera during the armed standoff in Nevada in 2014, just as authorities started to fear a gunfight. That is the only time you don't want to turn off.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, isn't that basically what it's there for?
Yeah.
It's going to get Western, Patrick Apley could be heard saying in a body camera footage before he stopped recording, according to the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Prosecutors played the video Thursday in a trial of 6 men charged with conspiracy obstruction of justice, assault, and other charges in their role in the 6-day standoff between armed protesters and law enforcement. I am fully behind disbanding a lot of law enforcement agencies. Bureau of Land Management not being the exception.
Okay.
I have a real serious problem with our federal government having as much power as it does, having as much authority as it does.
One time we sat down and went through all the. I went through and found dozens and dozens of all these federal law enforcement. It seems that every secretary of this, there's a law enforcement division within them.
Yeah. And a SWAT team to go with it.
Oh, yeah.
Even the Department of Education has a SWAT team, as you so aptly pointed out years ago. Why does the Department of Education have a SWAT team? Is it to go after ranchers and their stupid cattle? Which, by the way, have you not noticed something about the ranchers?
What's that?
They make yummy, yummy hamburgers.
Oh, yeah. I never know where you're going with stuff.
Leave the hamburger people alone. We like hamburgers. Lucille. Thank you, Angela.
Where was Lucille?
Lucille is the name of the baseball bat from Negan from The Walking Dead.
Got it.
Yes. Headline, Dems say Sessions may have lied to Congress about communication with Russia.
Okay. You said, tell me, what did you say to me earlier?
You know what? It really kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Yes.
Why is it the communists don't want us talking to Russia? Why is it all of a sudden, and Gladys, thank you for joining us. Why is it the communists have such a panty twist about Donald Trump talking to Russia? I mean, Hillary Clinton went so far as to steal a button off of a hot tub and meet Pooty Poot and go, here, let's have a reset button. She was desperate to talk to the Russians. Are they just jealous? I think that's what it is.
Okay.
They're just jealous.
Fair. You heard it here first.
President Donald Trump on Thursday said he has total confidence in his recently appointed Attorney General, who has come under fire after it was learned he may have lied under oath when asked by members of Congress if he had any contact with Russian officials during the 2016 presidential election. I don't understand. Somebody, please, somebody explain to me, where's the criminal activity here?
I don't know.
I really don't know. Moving along.
Hey, Jonathan, welcome to the chat.
Hey, Jonathan. Now, this is the story that I thought you were talking about.
Oh, no, I had a different one, but we'll talk about that.
I actually think this is kind of clever.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't usually do product stories, but the headline is, a new holster sensors turns on police body cams when the guns are drawn.
Fair.
And I was just having this conversation with somebody about my paddle holster.
Sure. I love how you're pointing on radio.
Yeah, I'm pointing over there. Everybody can see me pointing over there. My paddle holster holds my pistol very, very tightly because it's just one of those clip-in ones where the plastic pinches the finger guard. And I was telling you about how I wanted one where it's got the button. And after researching it, for those of you who are thinking about going out and getting a paddle holster, apparently the paddle holster has the possibility that when you're depressing the button, which is releasing the trigger guard, your finger is right where the trigger is. That's how you push the button, okay? So as you're drawing your pistol and pressing that button, there's the possibility of pressing too hard as the pistol comes out and your finger slips into the trigger and discharges the weapon into your leg.
Well, let's not do that.
Let's not do that. So this particular one kind of incorporates two things into the same system, where when you reach down to your holster, your thumb releases a cap on the back of the pistol, and that's what releases the firearm. But at the same time, that triggers a sensor that turns on the officer's body cam.
Fair.
I think that's actually kind of brilliant. I wish these people all the best on that venture, and maybe if I can figure out a way of investing in that, I wouldn't mind investing in that.
That's Taser.
Taser! Oh, forget it. John McCain. Headline, Kansas student activist group warns U.S. embassies about carry campus law.
Do what?
Hashtag fail campus carry. They're not even creative anymore. Hashtag fail campus carry. Oh, look at it. There all they
I'm
go.
sorry, the U.S. embassies...
Yeah. Kansas.
Okay, connect for me why Kansas students on campus carry are letting embassies know. Can you connect that dot for me?
I want to try. I'll read the article from guns.com, by the way. Go over to guns.com. A Kansas University graduate student and gun control activist emailed an open letter Tuesday to U.S. embassies abroad warning of the state's campus carry law. What did he... okay. Megan Jones, founder of the Fail Campus Carry Facebook page, says Kansas public colleges and universities are not doing enough to inform prospective students about this law, which she argues disproportionately affects non-U.S. citizens incapable of arming themselves per U.S. federal law. Okay, so I get it. All right, no, yeah. Let the phone ring. We'll let the phone ring.
Okay.
I see what he's trying to say here. He's saying that foreign students coming to the United States to go to college are not well informed enough about the dangers of coming here because of our campus carry laws and because they are disproportionately affected. We should do extra to protect them. Did you just see me do some cartwheels in my head to get there?
Wow.
Yeah. This one hurts my head a little bit. Headline, Vermont lawmaker aims to take guns from domestic violence offenders. Okay, well, first off, I do believe that if you are a violent offender in the state of Vermont, they do take your guns already.
Could be.
I believe that if there are protection orders, restraining orders, they temporarily take your firearms. And on top of all of that, how many gun incidents were there in the state of Florida relative to everywhere else on planet Earth?
Florida or Vermont?
Florida or Vermont? No, Vermont.
Probably like lowest than everybody else.
I think it's even lower than England.
Could be.
So when you're talking about statistically, Vermont is as close to zero as you can get.
Sure.
So this is one of those warm by the campfire laws, I think is what it is. But unfortunately, you and I both know that the more restrictive they get, the worse the problem becomes.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're going to...
They create the problem they're trying to solve.
So Vermont lawmakers have proposed a bill that would allow the confiscation of guns from individuals arrested for domestic violence. Bill H-422, sponsored by the House Judiciary Chairman...
Which part of not deprived of property and without due process and all that jibber jabber? Whatever happened to all that? I
believe that if you're arrested in the state of Vermont for domestic violence, they then get a restraining order on you, and the restraining order itself has a relinquishment of firearms already, and this is just going to bypass all of that. I think that's probably the case. It's dumb. It's semantics.
Well, I think John's got the solution. They should just make murder illegal. I mean, why don't we just do that? Doesn't that solve the problem?
Oh, the Vermonters. We should call somebody over in Vermont and let them know.
Yeah, why don't you just make shooting people illegal?
Hey, you know what else would be good? Let's make being unemployed illegal, too. Ooh, I got another idea. Let's make being poor illegal. What do you think?
Yeah, okay.
What else can we make illegal and it will just solve everything?
Being a liberal?
Rabble. Headline report, guns assembled in the UK may be finding their way to child soldiers. Well, no kidding.
Okay.
Firearms assembled in the United Kingdom could be getting into the hands of child soldiers, a report by European Children's Charities has warned. The report entitled... Small arms in the hands of children. That's kind of a joke unto itself, isn't it? I mean, it's macabre. Yeah. Small arms into the hands of children.
Well, because they have small arms.
Because they have small arms. Accuses German arms manufacturer Heckler & Koch, H&K, of bypassing export roadblocks in Germany by using subsidiaries in the UK. It was authored by... you know what? This is stupid.
Terre d'Armes. That's World of Men.
Here's the thing. My tolerance for this story ended at Heckler & Koch, okay? And you want to know why?
Isn't it Coke?
Coke, thank you.
Heckler & Koch.
Heckler & Koch, right. Heckler and whatever. Have you ever priced one of those things?
Expensive.
The H&Ks?
Yeah.
They're very expensive. Those are not cheap firearms.
No, they're not.
Have you seen the firearms that the children... if you're in a country where
that
they
kid
have
right there in the picture, they're using a Reuters picture.
Yep.
Armed boy walks through rubble in war-torn Yemen. That is an AK-47.
That is, in fact, an AK-47, and that's what my point was. If you're in a country...
HK doesn't make those, I don't think.
If you're in a country where they're using children soldiers, that means that they are too poor and too already decimated to be of the higher class in weapons. They're not using H&Ks. They're not using Armolites. They're using $40 and $50 AK-47s made by Czechoslovakia, Russia, China, North Korea, Vietnam, all the places that ain't. So that's just ducky, guys. And then you put a picture of an AK. Fabulous. Headline. I love these headlines. These are my favorite headlines. Headline. 2 charged with murder after accomplice killed in botched robbery. Oh, guess where it is? It's everybody's
Vermont.
No.
Canada.
No.
England.
Florida. Oh, Florida, the land of everything weird. 2 Florida teens are facing murder charges after their accomplice was shot and killed during a botched armed robbery over the weekend in Miami.
What is on that guy's head?
That's a man bun. That's a man bun.
It's not really a man bun. It's
and I
kind
think,
of
there's a picture of 2 guys here, and you can see it on guns.com. The guy on the left has a man bun. The guy on the right, I think he's got a chinchilla on his head. I'm not sure.
Wow, okay.
Okay.
You're being culturally insensitive.
I don't care. So, if I read through this, I believe a Good Samaritan, Alberto Medal was killed when a Good Samaritan witnessed the robbery unfold and fired at the 3 suspects. According to Miami-Dade County Corrections, Marcel Antonio Bolanos, 19, and Steven Palacio, 19, both charged with second-degree murder and are held without bond. I love this because you got 3 guys robbing a place. Okay?
Yeah.
Good Samaritan goes, bang, you're not doing that. And the 2 other guys get charged with his death.
I couldn't be happier.
Happy endings are here again. Headline from Zero Hedge. I'm not always a big fan of some of the stuff that Zero Hedge does, but I thought this was kind of interesting. The headline is Meet Silent Hunter, China's new armored vehicle slicing laser gun. Now, this laser gun sits on top of, I don't know, what would you say that, 4 feet by 4 feet box? And it's got the whole laser-looking contraption on top of it. It's made by China.
Why is it written in English?
That's a good question. That's a good question. But they are claiming that this laser gun that sits on this little tiny platform has a 50 to 70 kilowatt capability. Okay? Following me so far?
I'm with you.
You don't know what 50 to 70 kilowatts is like? Okay, let me explain. 50 to 70 kilowatts would make it more powerful than the 33 kilowatt laser weapon system currently installed on the USS Ponce. I'm calling BS on this one.
Okay.
And here's why I bring this story up. If China is putting out BS claims about their military strength, that means that they are trying to send a message of some kind. Mm-hmm. And if China is trying to send a message of strength and we have bigger weapons than you, what is it that's in their head and what is the direction that country is going? They're posturing.
They're posturing because if they were this is my thing. If you were going to
thanks, Gladys. It slices it, dices it, juliennes.
I think what you're doing is if you're bragging about what you have, it's because you'd like to be negotiating from a position of strength while you avoid the fight.
Sun Tzu.
If you are going to have the fight, you don't tell anybody what you have for a weapon until it obliterates your city, like we did with.
So you think that they're feeling threatened?
I think they're feeling threatened. I think they'd like to chat with us, and I think they'd like to negotiate from a position of strength.
Okay.
So they're going to try and make it sound like they are stronger than us so that we'll want to negotiate with them.
This is also bad news.
Yes.
It means that our international relations with China, understandably so, are becoming a little bit strained.
Okay.
And it also means that if they're having to fake it like this, they're scared.
I think Trump is just such a loose cannon that they don't know what to think.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, think about
That's
it.
fair.
He's as a politician, he is completely unpredictable. Like him, hate him, whatever.
I would disagree with you on that, but I think that your sentiment is correct. I think for the most part, people, as a general rule, have a hard time tracking where Trump's brain is going.
Sure.
I can see the path that he's taking and understand the path he's taking when he's taking it.
Right, but he can also jilt from his path at the last second.
Yeah.
I think what's happening is that they're trying to.
But even at that, it's
think about it though.
predictable.
He's not. What his weakness and his strength is he's not a career politician.
Right.
He has no filter. He says whatever he comes into his mind, good, bad, or indifferent.
His talent is most definitely in his ability to pick people to rely upon to make good decisions.
Sure.
That is a talent that
Henry
he does.
Ford pioneered that as an idea.
I mean,
well, not pioneered it, but that was his big strength.
Unfortunately, Trump also, sort of follows down bad ideas sometimes. It does happen, like with the whole the civil forfeiture thing when he was having the conversation with the sheriff's department, and they're all
Sure.
like, we want civil forfeiture. And he's like, this is ridiculous that our sheriffs, who we should be supporting, aren't getting their civil forfeiture, not realizing the actual implications behind civil forfeiture.
Right. So I think if you're China, because China knows where it's going. It has central planning, a central planned economy. It knows where it's going. This guy could be anything at any time and could react any way.
That's a good
and
point.
I think I think they want to make sure that he doesn't do anything rash to them, and that maybe we can all sit down and have a some fried rice and a little chat.
I can see where you're going with that.
Okay.
Where if you're in a structured society where everything needs to be predictable and go in the lockstep, and then you got somebody who is the tall nail amongst the field of nails,
Sure.
that can be unnerving to them. I can see that.
And the other thing, too, and this is a great failing of our country's foreign policy in general, and it's always been. We're so used to being Americans that everyone needs to understand us that we don't always understand who we're talking to and how they think. Okay? And as we pointed out with Jizya and Takia, that we're kind of handling Muslim issues in our country badly because we just don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
We try to apply what we think is good to them, and
And that's
backwards.
why we also get the people that are in support of
we
them.
ended up. They tried to dropping the atomic weapons on Hiroshima and Nagasaki was kind of a last resort. They were really trying to head the thing off. So originally, what they'd said was they demanded the unconditional surrender of Japan.
Right.
And we didn't understand that we just sent the wrong message to them because they viewed the emperor as a god on earth.
Right.
Well, they're not going to surrender the emperor.
Right.
And so we went, oh, okay, well, that didn't come out right. Let's try that again. And then so before they went to drop the bomb, Harry Truman sent them another ultimatum. He said, okay, we don't want to take the emperor out. He said, you will just surrender your armed forces. He thought, okay, maybe if I phrase it correctly, we'll get where we want to be.
Right.
And then the Suzuki and some of the other people in the War Council went, well, if now they're backing off of getting rid of the emperor, they must be weak. And they Sun Tzu'd it, and that's when they decided they decided that they were about to win. They misunderstood what they were being told because it didn't jibe with what they knew as a culture.
That's an interesting take.
So they thought that because we backed off of that we were just that we were weak and we were just trying to grab at straws. And they said, we're about ready to defeat them. Let's press on with the fight.
Uh-huh.
And then we went, all
right. Here we go.
Kaboom.
Yep. And they still didn't quite get it at that point.
Yeah.
If they had had the internet back then and gotten the information to the emperor quicker as to the level of devastation that we had just deployed upon them, maybe they would have surrendered before Bomb 2. But hindsight, right?
Yeah, it was hindsight, and then and it was also part bluff too because we only had the 2, and we kind of just made it sound like we could keep this up for a while.
Wisely.
Hey, you want us to keep doing this?
You know what? Since we're on the Sun Tzu bend, maybe Donald Trump is a new chapter in Sun Tzu. If you can't outsmart him, get out in the field and dance a jig and just plain confuse the hell out of him. Headline in our final headline for the night. South Dakota constitutional carry bill approved in Senate committee. A bill that would remove the permit requirement to conceal a... hold Well, I'm really flubbing up the last one. That's okay. That's fine. A permanent requirement to carry a concealed gun has been approved in South Dakota Senate Judiciary Committee. House Bill. Does anybody ever really pay attention to the House Bill numbers?
I do.
Do you? Mm-hmm. All right, I'll give it to you. House Bill 1072, sponsored by Republican Rep. Lynn DeSanto, passed on a 5-2 vote in committee Wednesday, and now heads to the full South Dakota Senate for a vote. What?
Sparky, Sun Tzu for Dummies. Way to go, Gladys.
Yes! Sun Tzu for Dummies. I think we should write it. Yeah, Gladys, write that book. I bet you make millions. And those are our headlines for this week.
Yay!
Oh, you're cheering the end of my segment. Oh, fantastic.
Well, you took that the wrong way. It's another week of headlines. We got headlines for everybody.
You're welcome. What do you got for me, Peter?
Okay, well, let's. Where do you want to go first? Let's go to Massachusetts.
Oh, damn.
You know, Massachusetts is kind of like New England's Florida. It really is.
It really kind of is. Hey, what happened in Brockton today?
Did something happen in Brockton today?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm out of touch. I mean,
I was just, what's happened
Brockton.
What about Billerica? Something happened in Billerica?
Yeah, anyway.
Fitzwilliam, I know something bad happened there today.
You ain't right.
No, I'm not right.
Anyway, so apparently now that we have full freedom in New Hampshire along with Vermont and Maine.
Oh, did you see the mass shootings all last week?
Oh, my God, it was terrible.
In New Hampshire?
Yep, and they ran from border to border, killing everybody in all three states.
Blood
We're all
ran
dead.
Red in the streets.
Absolutely, ran red in the streets. It was like the OK Corral. People shot the Avon lady, and they were shooting each other over. Wait a minute, that didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. However, did you see the guy who tried stopping the shoplifter? You got to hit the mute button on that thing, man.
I was playing something for you earlier, and
oh, well, you're welcome.
All righty, cool.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'll tell you about the shoplifter. Oh, the shoplifter one.
Sure.
So this guy decided in I think it was a Walmart parking lot. He was a open carrier or a concealed carrier, whatever he was, and the shoplifter was getting in her car. And the tailgate of the vehicle was open, and he was in the tailgate, going, you better stop, you're going to stop. Here's where he goes from legal to criminal like that. Mm-hmm. The shoplifter tries to make off, and he was trying to make a citizen's arrest. Under their law, I think it was Montana, you can legally do that. Here's where he went wrong. He drew his weapon and tried to shoot out her tires in the parking lot, and as she's driving away, fires another couple shots at the vehicle trying to, I guess, hit the tires.
Thank you, Hollywood.
Now, here's where I'm going to put on the old tinfoil hattie. Okay?
Okay.
He was not arrested. He most certainly should have been arrested.
Yes, that is not well regulated.
No. Here's where it gets really weird, is the police department described the person who did the shooting as a man. That was it. No arrest. No name, no other description other than it was a man. I have to wonder if the guy that did this was either related to or an off-duty cop. You got to wonder.
Oh, yeah.
Because if it was you or me, headlines, faces plastered, pariah. Not so much with this
Polite
guy.
Society co-hosts arrested in impolite interaction with thief.
Yeah, so for all you... 2A types out there, you don't get to shoot at people as they're driving away for shoplifting. Nope. Sorry. That's a fail. Sorry.
Fail. Okay, so the Great Bay State. We got a couple coming from there. First of all, as you know, like I said, we got constitutional carry here in New Hampshire. It's barely 2 weeks old now, nice and shiny. Still has that new law feel to it.
Yep.
Smells nice.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
Well, apparently, first of all, there's some New Hampshire police chiefs that aren't thrilled about it.
Oh.
And then there's some Massachusetts police chiefs who are absolutely losing their mind.
Where's my cheer applause sound effect? Somewhere.
So the Dracut police chief, who's on the border, Dracut, Massachusetts.
Oh, good grief.
Says his officers are on heightened alert now.
Oh,
and they're working with Pelham's police chief. That's the New Hampshire town directly over the border from Dracut. On signs on the border reminding Granite State visitors once they cross the state lines, they have to follow Bay State gun laws. And what was it? What else did he say? That when we screen somebody for license to carry, we're able to look at everything we know about the person. This is what the Dracut police chief said. So here's the problem. Let's just
do they have
back
the same
all this.
signs at the Vermont, Massachusetts border
Probably
and the,
not.
and the Maine,
No.
Massachusetts? Okay.
Of course not. Actually, there is a sign on the Maine border reminding you that fireworks are illegal in Massachusetts.
Oh. Well,
Or is it Maine or that they're illegal?
Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Fireworks are illegal. They're legal in New Hampshire. I know that.
I know they're illegal in Massachusetts, and they take that very seriously. No bottle rockets,
Yes, you shall not have fun.
no fun state.
Unless you're paying lots of money for somebody to come in and do it.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, so let's talk about, first of all, they talk about it's New Hampshire's, the headline, and this is Fox,
By the way,
Fox 25 is WFXT.
I've always found the irony about the great state of Jaffrey.
Yeah.
We have both two manufacturers of fireworks here in Jaffrey,
Yeah.
and the world's largest match factory.
Yes.
Okay.
And you used to manufacture fire hoses.
Yeah, fire hoses to put it all out. Yes.
That's that brick building right across from where your office used
Yeah, it used
to be.
to
That
be,
used to be the Jaffrey Fire Hose Company.
Yep, Jaffrey Fire Hose Company.
Anyway, so the headline of this thing was police in Mass, New Hampshire voice concern over new New Hampshire gun law. Mm-hmm. Okay, first of all, let's start with that. It is not a new law. It is the reinstatement of constitutional carry, which
Correct.
means we reinstated the same law that we had in 1791.
Yeah, actually, you're right, because it's not a new law. It's a repeal of an old law.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you're with me.
Okay.
Now, New Hampshire was a shout. Oh, pardon me.
You're welcome.
Snark is coming back to haunt me.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by Rum.
Rum. Why is the rum gone? Get more. Anyway, yeah, I hate it when you do that.
You're welcome.
So, okay, it's new law. And the other thing, too, is New Hampshire was a shall issue state,
Correct.
which meant they really couldn't refuse you unless you were adjudicated mentally ill or convicted felon.
Right.
Now, they had left in the law books that the police chief, when you filed for the permit, to determine you were a, quote, suitable person, end quote, with
Suitable.
absolutely no legal definition.
Right.
So it was almost like they left themselves an out to become a may-issue state. Now, it could just be that the police chief doesn't like you. So now they've decided you're not suitable.
You're not suitable.
Now, there's a path to get that corrected and stuff. And I don't know too many people who've
I'll
ever
answer your
had the
question
problem.
in a second, Jonathan. Sorry. Yeah, Jonathan's asking us a question.
Oh, yes. Well, we like questions.
All right, I'll answer it now. If reciprocity passes both the House and the Senate, then it needs to go to the governor's desk where he will sign it into law. Or
I think, does he mean national reciprocity? That's what reciprocity means. He's talking about more than one state. So
well,
if it becomes
he's
federal law,
if he's talking about national reciprocity, then it would go to the president's desk, and then the president would either sign it or not sign or veto it. I don't know what the likelihood of national reciprocity is, but states also have their own reciprocity with other states.
yeah.
You have to be more
by the way,
specific.
you don't required to carry a permit, but you can still get a permit if you need to travel out of state and want to go to a reciprocity state.
Right.
So you can still get one if you want one. And as permits go, the New Hampshire one isn't very burdensome, other than
No.
the fact that it existed.
Yeah,
It's $10.
Don't murder people and give me $5.
Yeah. So that was the first problem. So that was a little bit of control that the New Hampshire police chiefs had. Now, the Massachusetts police chiefs in a may-issue state enjoy all the power in the world. And what has always really grated me the wrong way about the police deciding who gets to carry a gun...
What grinds your gears?
This really grinds my gears. Is that these are men who get to carry a gun home. Not only do they get to carry a gun home, but the taxpayers buy it for them.
Yeah.
And pay for their ammunition and
Yeah,
training.
like they get a shiny new one like every few years, don't
Yeah.
they? Sometimes
I haven't
even
got a new gun in years.
Yeah, me neither. Well, maybe not years.
So that's so they're all railing about it, and here's the part that the sign part offends the hell out of me, and here's why. How is it that all of a sudden, because I don't need that scrap of paper in my wallet anymore, now all of a sudden I've developed amnesia as to what the gun laws are?
Yeah.
They really just think so low of us.
Yeah.
Everybody in New Hampshire knows that the Mass border is checkpoint Charlie for freedom.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah, we all know that.
Okay? You know that if you get down there, you're paying 6.25%
Yep.
sales tax. You know that you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do any work on your house without permits. Everything is permits, forms, and fees in the pay state.
Yes, Jonathan, if national reciprocity were to become law, then all the states would have to adhere to the constitutional carry. Well, depending
permit.
on what the permitting system is or whatever it is, yes.
Yeah.
But yes, it would be a mandate handed
Now,
down by the federal government.
catch, Jonathan, is that as a firearms owner, if I leave my state and travel to a different state, I am subject to their gun laws.
Correct.
So even if we have constitutional carry, and I'll give you a quick example, Ohio.
That's a good point.
Ohio requires that if I'm pulled over, that I immediately inform the officer that I'm carrying a firearm.
Right.
Failure to do so is a crime.
Right.
And there's a great dash cam video of this guy who the cop kept telling him to shut the hell up, shut the hell up. He kept trying to tell him. Finally, halfway through, he finally tells him, "Sir, I have a gun." He goes, "Why didn't you tell me that when I pulled you the hell over?"
I remember
because
that.
You wouldn't let me speak.
Right. Yeah.
And they tried to arrest him for it. Anyway. So yeah, awesome questions, Jonathan. So that's kind of my thing on that. So the grinding the gears is the police, guys who carry guns legally all the time getting to decide who for everyone else. Now, since we're on Massachusetts, let me go to the next one. Understand that the Massachusetts license plates, which proclaim the birthplace of American liberty, it was the birthplace, but apparently it moved out when it got old enough.
Yep.
Because it's not there anymore.
It would be a really great sign facing south to that sign.
What's that?
They got their sign, Massachusetts doesn't allow you to have any fun. We should have a sign pointing the opposite way saying, you may have to follow the laws of man in Massachusetts, but up here you have to follow the laws of physics.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, so State Senator Cynthia Cream, I didn't make that up, filed a bill called SD 1884. It's a raft of gun control measures, but what she wants to put is a 4.75 sin tax on all lawful firearms-related activity. Now, 4.75 sounds like a random number. Do you recall what I just said the sales tax was?
No.
6.25.
Which makes it
11.
11%.
It's got 11.
Oh, my God.
So they want to make sure
it's intelligent, too.
Right. Now, there's already an 11% federal excise tax on firearms and ammunition under the Pittman-Robertson Act. So now, to own a firearm, buy a part for it, buy ammunition, you're looking at a 22% thing. And also because one of the things, if you live in New Hampshire, particularly near the border, since New Hampshire is a zero sales tax state, we have shopping malls on all the borders.
Because we rule, they drool.
Yeah, we rule, they drool. And what ends up happening is that if you are in the appliance sales business, you want to open your thing on the border because nobody wants to pay 6.25% on a
$500 washer.
$500 washer.
$1,000 washer, sure.
So they come up here. I mean, you go to the Pheasant Lane Mall in Nashua on any given day. It's on the Tingsboro line. Okay, the far end of the parking lot's Tingsboro.
Actually,
Massachusetts.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't the mall part in Massachusetts?
Yeah, you know where there's a restaurant right at the end of the parking lot, Smoky Bones.
Okay,
that's actually in Tingsboro.
Oh, those poor bastards.
Yeah. So the parking lot's all Massachusetts license plates.
Oh yeah.
As far as the eye can see,
and it's the same here. We've got the next town over, which is Renge, which sits right on the border of Massachusetts. And you've got Hannaford's Supermarket, and you've got Market Basket Supermarket. And when you go there on the second week of the month...
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense.
Why?
Because there's no tax on food in Massachusetts.
But they're all from Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's probably close. Anyway, so she's would use the money that she collects from this to fund a firearms violence prevention trust fund, which state officials would employ to establish a municipal grant program to support municipal violence prevention programs. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to punish the non-violent legal gun owners to fund for doing something against the criminals who misuse guns because they're the same thing. And she freely admits that this is really just about making guns harder to own. There's even... Oh, I'm sorry. There was
These
a place...
are bad people.
Yeah. And then what else do they say? You would also have to
Yes.
How does this go? I'm trying to find it exactly in the thing. But basically, she was going to find a way to make sure that you couldn't buy it from out of state either.
Oh. So if you go to New Hampshire and buy it, you're going to pay the Massachusetts sales tax. Didn't they try doing that with one of the tire companies where people were coming up to New Hampshire buying their tires and going back down to Massachusetts. And then Massachusetts tried to send them a tax bill saying you weren't collecting mass sales tax. And the state of New Hampshire said, nah, not so much. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was a guy, I remember hearing this. My grandfather was involved in politics when I was a kid. And apparently there was some Department of Revenue person who went up to New Hampshire and started writing down license plate numbers of cars at the mall.
Right.
And, of course, the problem is that all of the state legislatures in Massachusetts do the same damn thing. They raise the taxes and they go up to New Hampshire.
Right, yeah.
And supposedly this guy was like, hey, we could catch all these people outside these stores. They're obviously buying stuff to circumvent taxes. We could go get this tax revenue. The voice from on high said, leave it alone.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah. Well, they caught the liquor commissioner. See, now, there's another thing about the state of New Hampshire is they use they have state liquor stores. A lot of states do that. Virginia does it. Sure. We do it to generate revenue. They sell liquor. You can't.
I have a problem with that, but that's a different subject.
Yeah. So either way, so they raised the taxes in Massachusetts, and the Massachusetts liquor commissioner got bagged on video at the New Hampshire state liquor store in a state car loading booze into his trunk.
Oh, you can't write this stuff.
No, it writes itself.
It really does. Yes, Jonathan, I can only imagine that it happens between Georgia and South Carolina because South Carolina has very low gas taxes. I'm just quoting what he's saying. And gets about 30 cents cheaper there. So it's nothing new, but if you were smart, maybe you want to, I don't know, knock it off with the spending and lower your taxes and make life a little bit easier for people. I mean, it's really kind of a civil rights thing, don't you think?
Pretty much.
Yeah, if you want to oppress the little guy, what do? You tax him. That's what taxes are. They're oppression.
Okay, here we go. Fight the power.
Fight the power.
Okay.
Fist up in the air.
So, there you go with that. Now, let's talk about some other losing money. Now, you talked earlier about how they were going to repeal the SAFE Act everywhere but New York City.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if that's to prove that it just doesn't work and let New York City just sort of wallow in its own cesspool.
You're familiar with the scientific process, right?
Yeah.
Control group A and experiment group B. And
sure.
And can you think of anywhere in the country where you might have an A-B control group?
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, like North Korea and South Korea. Think about that one for a second. If ever there was a shining example of how communism does not work, there it is. And when it comes to gun control, can you think of a couple places in the United States that you could go A, B, and go, yep, it doesn't work? Massachusetts and New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Massachusetts and Vermont. Vermont and Detroit. Look at where all the violence is. All the violence is in all the places that are the most restrictive. Of course, they're going to be all like, well, they have different demographics there.
Yeah. Here we go.
And here we go again.
So it seems that hitting near apoplexy here is Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance. You want to know how well he thinks of all of us. They're talking about the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, and he goes, I think that'd be a mistake. This is at a Republican Party.
Yeah.
Our gun laws, I think, are a significant part of the rapid and consistent decline of violent crime in New York State and New York City. Noting people carrying a legal weapon in New York now face 3.5 years. It's important to have gun laws. And then he goes, it's going to be like, this is... then the police, they interviewed the police for this. And I love the New York cops. I actually asked, I was in New York City not that very much long ago, and I asked a New York City cop about that whole thing. And he said, he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, no, people definitely have the right to keep and bear arms. He says, absolutely. And I said, oh, really?
Yeah.
He said, just not in this city. He goes, no, he says, you don't want anyone in this city to have a gun.
Why not?
Well, I think it would sort itself out. It's Darwinism, advanced rapid Darwinism.
I had this conversation with somebody, and there's been many studies on it, and I'm just going to make one up as we go here. That if you have an individual who is a licensed carry, conceal, whatever, even in the state of New Hampshire where we have no more concealed carry license permits, if you are an individual who are carrying a concealed firearm, your mentality is such that you will think that the people around you are likely to also be carrying concealed.
Generally speaking?
I'm sorry?
Generally speaking?
Generally speaking. If you're a person who doesn't carry and doesn't like guns and et cetera, you are generally going to be a person who believes that the people around you are also not carrying.
I agree with that.
So if, and this goes to the name of our show, Polite Society, if we have a society where everybody believes everybody else is armed, you generally behave a little bit better. You behave as a polite society.
Oh, sure.
And the very fact that we are an armed society reverses the need to have the guns.
Exactly.
So then the argument becomes, well, you don't need guns. There is no crime. But as soon as you get rid of the guns,
right.
the crime
That's like
comes
saying
back.
I'm going to get rid of your bank vault because your bank's never been robbed.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean...
Well, I always love that is the rare occasions where I've been open carrying or something like that. If somebody gets mad at you, like I have some neighbors that don't like me much, and they come over, they're all like, hey! And they walk up closer, and if they see that you have a gun in a holster, they go, it goes from hey to hey.
And it's not like you're even...
And it's not like you're threatening them or anything like that. It's just funny how that works, is that somebody immediately... They just all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, he's got a gun. Okay.
If they're coming at you, they're coming at you because they fear nothing.
Right.
And fear is a remarkable thing when it comes to respect. And when you respect your fellow human being, you tend to get along with your fellow human being. So overall, it makes people happier and healthier. See that?
Yeah.
Guns make people happier and healthier.
I like it. So let me finish where we're going with this. So these are what some of the cops have had to say. They don't name the cops; they're just police sources.
Yes, Gladys has an insurance. Sorry.
It's going to be now. Stop me if you've heard this one. No, actually, don't stop me. Tell me if you've heard this one.
Okay.
It's going to be like the Wild Wild West. There could be a lot of shootouts, and not only with cops. If this person who comes to wait a minute, I'm doing this wrong. If this person comes to New York and gets in a dispute and an argument with somebody else, their first reaction might be to pull out a firearm and use it in a confrontation.
Straw man that's been proven false
for 30 years now. They said this when we went back to Cary. This is just utter crap.
Remember that, that town in the Georgia, South Carolina, something like that?
Kennesaw, Georgia.
That basically mandates that if you live in the city limits, you are required to have a firearm.
Yep.
And what happened? They went, oh my God, there's going to be blood in the streets. And what happened to the actual crime?
Nothing.
Actually, it went down. Way, way, way down.
Here's what another cop had to say. Huh. And forgive me if my New York accent isn't as good as it should be.
I'll make fun of you anyways.
Yeah. Hatch can let me know about this one. This would lead to anarchy. No, that's Boston. I'm sorry. Anarchy. You just make our job 10 times hard. I can't do it. When you let any Tom, Dick, and Harry walk into New York with guns in their holster, the cop said.
Uh-huh.
Really? Because that happened. This is what really smokes me about New York?
What?
They think they're somehow different from the rest of the world. Always.
Yeah, I know.
Everything, well, it's New York. It's different. You don't understand. No, I do understand. You're a corrupt pile.
That's probably a pretty apt way of putting it. And pausing for a moment. Because in case you haven't noticed, we haven't cut away to Hatch. Hatch is, in fact, in the chat.
He is in the chat.
But unfortunately, Mr. Hatch the Heathen decided today that he was going to take the tool of his trade, the jewel of what brings his voice to us, and he decided to throw it in a river, step on it a couple... No, I'm actually exaggerating. But he's having some technical difficulties. So this week, we're going to have to run... another show.
But it'll be good to hear it. And Hatch, we expect, will be back with us next week after I have deployed upon him the fine services of Jaffrey Computer to get him back up and running. So let's all cut the guy a break. Yeah, and he's in the chat. He's still communicating with us. Okay. We've got time. We've got time for one more?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to let you pick. Gun camera, gangs of Chirac using rifles, or the Fourth Circus?
Chirac.
Okay.
Guns of Chirac.
This is actually kind of disturbing in a way because it's going to put us in a bad spot.
We specialize in disturbing.
Yeah, no, this is disturbing for us.
Oh, okay.
It used to be that we could always say, hey,
Yeah, sorry. I spilled the snark.
You're shut off. That we used to point out about semi-automatic rifles and how they were almost never used in crime, and it was just in the hundreds every year. Apparently, they are now using rifles. The gangs in Chirac. However, it's only in 2 places, which is really, really weird.
What? So it's like one guy with a bunch of rifles.
Yeah. So they it's the only part of the city where they're doing it. Brighton Park.
Okay.
And
Are they using like deer rifles?
Brighton Park and Davis Square.
I bet it's the Heckler and Kochs.
Yeah, probably. Apparently, they just recently started using rifles.
I wonder why.
It's unclear how many are on the street, but police suspect they're being passed around by members of 4 Hispanic gangs in the Deering Police District, which covers parts of south and southwest sides. La Raza, which we've all heard of, the Almighty Saints.
There's a gang called La Raza in Chirac.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
You know La Raza?
Well, La Raza, the actual organization, is a illegal immigrant.
Yeah, it means the race.
Yeah, the race, the racist race group.
Mexicans.
La Raza.
Yeah, La Raza, Almighty Saints, Satan's Disciples, and Gangster 2-6s.
Well,
so
how's that working out for them?
Well, obviously, rifles are a little easier. They don't think, apparently, that this happened, another gang conflict about 10 years ago, but then just disappeared. And I think it's because it's harder to conceal those silly things.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, can you imagine trying to pull a 21-inch barrel out of your saggy pants?
Yeah,
that
pretty much. But that's kind of not good news in general. Not that gang violence ever is, but I'm sure that they're going to make a whole bunch of stuff with that. Yeah. And that is all I have to say about that.
Yes, Skipper, those must be really long name tags on those guns. On that note, my final thoughts of this week are as such. I don't have really a formula. I'll just make it up as I go.
Hold my beer.
Don't be afraid of change. Change is good. We like change. The great state of New Hampshire had some good change. We got rid of the garbage. We now have constitutional carry in the state of New Hampshire. That's some good change. So
and coming soon to South Dakota and possibly Texas.
So, keep up the good work. We've been fighting the good fight.
Keep on fighting. Don't let up now.
The tide is turning to our favor in a big way, and it is a fun ride. So keep your chin up, your boots on, and your powder dry. Good night.
This is the TK Radio Network.
Not too long ago, 2 friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said,